And the reason it's important, put a lot of emphasis on the soft skill is because at the end of the day, these are things that makes every one of us stand out. So it's good to be technically sound, have all the good knowledge, but also important to know some of those soft skills. So we take different topics here and there, and we just socialize, we brainstorm together as a community, as a team. And over time, we hope and we believe some of these skills leave here tonight in the next 40 minutes with one knowledge. You don't have to learn everything, to be honest. Just learn one thing. Leave the next 1 hour of 24 hours to just learn one thing. That would make my day personally. So you don't have to learn so many things, just one piece at a time. In a year, potentially we do 4 programs in a year, and we take 4 tools that we've adopted. In a year, potentially that's 4 times 12, 48 skills. Let's even say we do twice a month. That is 24 skills that we've added to our arsenal as leaders. And honest truth is that one skill in our arsenal is enough to really make a transformational change for us. So let's have fun. So one of the things today, it's going to be a little bit funny and weird. Even for me, when my team did this research, I had to go back and take a look and say, am I sure this really makes sense? And 2 words to keep away from and power verbs to use instead. The words are words most of us use. I use it a lot too. So when I saw this, I said, wait a minute. Okay, I think it's so important. This would be helpful to our community because it's a word I use a lot. And I realized, hey, you know what? They make good sense by the analysis of these words. Some of us will be surprised by the words. I know I've shared the deck already, but to me, it was a surprise that, wow, okay, this is a word that is perceived in a different light in some angle. Despite the fact I also make a hiring decision, I never thought about that before because it just never crossed my mind. But it's thoughtful research, so I want to take it for what it is worth, and let's leverage it. Okay, so what is the word? 2 words to keep away from and power verbs to use instead of it. So mostly, most of us put together good resumes. We put together resumes that speak for us. The recruiters don't know any one of us. They have no ideas who we are, but these are the resumes that pave the way for us. So it's important right now to start identifying keywords that can potentially be pitfall for us, and what matter. And the statistic is that one of the most annoying words that people find recently is, guess what it is? Responsible for. That is the word. To me, I feel it's just a word most of us use. But guess what? The word responsible for in resume at the moment is a flag for some much more detailed people. I'll tell you why. You guys will be thinking and saying, hey, dude, what the hell does this mean? You're saying responsible for. And I have used this a lot of time myself. If I speak in an interview, I'll say, well, I've been responsible for doing this. I've used that word myself. So coming to see that it's a word that can potentially raise a flag, caught me off guard. Oh, okay. What's the story behind it? So let's see the story behind it. This is fun. It's fun because it's just good research for us all. Let me explain the details. Being responsible typically is an expectation for us already, because think about most of our job description, they will say roles and responsibilities. So the reality is that the responsibilities have been defined upfront. Let's take it again. For those of us just joining, let's have fun real quick. For those of us just joining, let me quickly backtrack real quick. There's a crazy word out there that I was surprised was a big deal in the industry right now in terms of research. When we use the word responsible for some weird reason, it raises a flag. I don't know the reason. I can't explain it. If you don't mind, give me 1 second, please. I think I need to quickly save. Sorry, give me 1 second. I want to save the version that, give me 1 second, please. Let me quickly save this. I'll stop sharing for a second, then I'll share real quick. 1 second. All right. Okay, let's quickly go through it again. 2 words to keep away from and power verbs to use instead. That's the title for today. For me personally, it caught me off guard because these are words I've used many times. So it was surprising to me. This was something, oh, somebody said, recruiter posted a whole article on LinkedIn about it today, actually. Excellent. Okay, good. So that makes it really worthwhile. I just got a feedback. Somebody posted it. A recruiter brought it up as a big flag recently. So that's really, so what I do, like I said earlier on before some of us joined, every week I have a team that does research for me for articles, topic we think are industry trend. And I like to share it every Tuesday or twice in a month so that we can share some interesting topic for our community to learn from. And the one that caught my attention that I stamped and I said I want us to run it was an article that talks about 2 words to keep away from. I saw the words and I was surprised because to me, these are words I used too in the past. And I've made hiring decision myself many times and I use the word. If you use the word, to me, it's not a big deal. But apparently in the industry and right now, it's a big deal. So let's be very conscious of it. And what are those words? Bam, 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 bingo, responsible for. Ideally, I would think that's a good thing to say in an interview, right? You say, I'm responsible for doing this, I'm responsible for doing this. But look at the mindset. And I kind of agree with it a little bit. I think I was sold by the reasoning behind it. And what's the reasoning behind it? Let's go to it. Let's explain. The explanation is simple. For all of us, our job already has our roles and responsibility. So your responsibility is already part of, it's inherently part of what you do at your job, of course. So saying you were responsible is a weak and generic way of describing your accomplishments. Of course, you had responsibility. Doesn't everybody does? We all do, right? And if not, then what value are we bringing to the company in the first place? So it's a generic word that's based on the research, we should kind of stay away from. And I know most of us will think and say, all right, if you tell us to stay away from that, what are the replacements? Before we get to the replacement, let's talk about a little bit of other words that are out there that tend to bring some red flag. For example, some big words like, and I've seen this used a lot, deep dive. In an interview, somebody will say, well, I take a deep dive. Somebody will say, I flesh out the details. I'm an hard worker. You know what? Yeah, so is the plumber, so is the carpenter. All of us are hard worker, right? Moving parts. I'm a team player. I drill down. I have a game plan. We threw all these big words. I move the needle. I synergize. I love the word synergize. I've used that a lot too. We use word like think outside the box. Now, I'm not saying stay away from it totally, but it's vague because I think what I feel is the industry have heard this word so much. Now it's now making everybody say, you know what? Yeah, what else do you want to say? I think I love the word synergize because it just sounds cool. That's all. I know I've used that a lot of times. I'll say, well, I bring synergy, yeah, I can see why someone will see it as it's too generic, right? I can see how you see the word team player a little bit generic because who is going to come to an interview and say, I'm not a team player? Virtually all of us will say we are team players, right? So it's expected to be a team player or else you stand not to even get that opportunity. So let's go to the replacement. There are some power words to use in a resume that showcase leadership most of the time. We may not use every one of those words, but I can say easily, if somebody tells me, for me, I'll tell you trigger points that I like. If you tell me, I've been involved in training personnel, train, for me, it's a code. I see, oh, okay, this is someone that can build and replicate themselves and multiply their skills or other people within my team to grow. I like that. If you tell me I've directed a team, I manage resources, I spearheaded a key project, I supervised other associates, that might kind of showcase your specific leadership traits. So they are powerful words. Now, of course, with those words comes responsibility. So if you are using those kind of words, then expect to give examples too, right? I think that's a fair point. So if you are using those words, be ready to give specific examples that showcase the power of those words. Let's go to some other ones. Teamwork words on your resume. So instead of using the generic teamwork, people want to hear, I collaborated with different functional areas. I contributed to a project by helping them with X deliverable. I joined a group of social initiators in a X setting. I work with an integrated team to help to deliver value. I synchronized with my functional areas, with other functional areas to achieve a project goal. You can kind of mix it together. Now, again, you don't have to use everything. Find one that stands out to what you're looking for. But this shows teamwork. So use the word collaboration. People like it. Contributed is the big one, because contributed means, to me, most times it shows you're telling me specific what you did, and so that's a good one, from a team point of view. Let's go to another one. For achievement, for we doing achieving anything, it's a very good thing to use words like delivered. So one of the big words we use out there is I delivered on project. People want to know they are hiring someone that can deliver on project at the end of the day, because that's the biggest value for us. We are delivering on project. People want you to talk about accomplishment also. It's not as simple as, well, I was working in a team, we did this, we did that. I tell my team all the time, when you use the word we many times, then you would force me to ask what you did, what you accomplished, what you delivered, what you established as a person. So stay away from just my own personal. If I'm interviewing you and you use the word we, first time I'll cut you a slack. If you say it 2 times, definitely I'm going to ask, give me specifically what you did. I'm not sure whether you guys have studied Elon Musk. He only has one question in an interview. He will ask you, this is, Google it. His question is, tell me a problem you solved and how you solved it. It sounds simple, but its rationale is anyone that actually solved the problem would understand the detail of the problem. Think about it. Any one of us here on this call, if he or she, if we solved the problem before that, we were the ones that really solved the problem. When you speak to me about the problem you solve, it's almost emotional. You can feel it. You can replay it in your mind and talk about it because it's personal. The details are personal to you. You can get into the details of what exactly you did to solve the problem. As simple as that. I'll give a practical example, right? So, conflict management, right? So I can speak to conflict management because I've seen some very, very conflict within projects that I had to step in and work in details of helping my team to come out of the conflict, right? And for me, if I speak about that conflict management, I'll talk about emotional intelligence. I'll talk about ensuring there's a buffer to shield the team and let them focus on the specific task going forward. I'll talk about integrating agile process to do daily stand-up twice a day and get into the details of execution of the project in details, right? So I'll get into detail because to me it's personal. A crisis that almost lost several hundreds of millions, really. And you were able to be helpful to bring your team out of that mess, right? So it's easy because I can relate and speak specific to every angle, every detail of it. So for you too, every one of your achievement and your success story, and before you tell me you don't have any success story to think about, I'm sure you've probably not thought about it enough. Sometimes it might be as simple as you help your team to build an Excel spreadsheet to make their process more efficient. Sometimes it might be building a PowerPoint to help your team to report a better status report. Sometimes it might be to jump in to support your team or to give them a training on Launch and Learn. You might be surprised how much we underestimate our day-to-day task. Every one of us has a story. Even if you drive Uber, All right. It's a transition for most of us, right? Whatever it is, whatever your story is, there's value in and dignity in labor. Whatever you do, I can assure you, we have a story of success. It could be guiding people, passengers, giving them insight into the environment they find themselves. Whatever you think is value, give it a thought. You'll be surprised how much value subconsciously you're adding to people at your job. So this is a good one. I like to. Word of achievement. Let's go to another one. Word of communication. You guys will all agree with me. Any corporate relationship that breaks down, let me quickly stick this in for everybody. Any corporate relationship that breaks down within multiple functional team, clients, customers, yourself, your team, even any relationship really, the foundation is always a broken communication, definitely, right? You guys will agree with me. So can we all type over communicate? Let's quickly type it real quick, everybody. Let's go. Over communicate. Be a jerk by over communicating. Let them hate you that, man, this guy's always communicating. Can we all type it up? Oh, man, I love my folks. Short hand, OC. Nelson, you are a mess, brother. Oh, man. Let's put over communication. My team, we always use shorthand. Everybody, they just put OC. Why stressing myself with over communicate? All right. Now, why it's important, folks, is, guys, you can never go wrong with this. I assure you, if you learn nothing tonight, if you mentally shift your mind to say, you know what? Because mostly within a team environment, it's always a delicate balance. Somebody's going to ask you, I sent this email first time. I'm having a feeling, so I will not be a jerk or someone that is just an ass, within my team to keep sending them follow-up emails. Err on the side of over communicating. And for me, my team, if I notice we're in potential crisis mode, or I'm seeing triggers, I will tell you upfront and tell you, hey guys, listen, I don't mean to be a pain, guys, but I'm going to over communicate. You see swamp of mails from me. It's okay. You can ignore them if you want to, but at least it will be for your situational awareness. You'll be aware of it. So default to over communicating. Let people get mad at you for over communicating than the opposite. Would you agree with me? It's better you're mad at me for over communicating than being totally mad at me for not communicating. So it's fine, and especially if you're a talker or a communicator, sometimes you could be perceived as just being a jerk, but it's okay. Especially if you notice that you see project situation that can potentially trigger crisis, be on top of it by excessively communicating. And there are some words we use for communication. Somebody will say, I've presented to, my leadership or to the board, I do illustration for my team. We define the processes, we connect with the key stakeholders, we author different articles and publications to help our clients successful. Those are words we can connect together. Every one of these words I'm saying, when you are building a resume or a communication strategy, use these buzzwords. And don't forget, folks, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. These are words that communication specialists have researched that are effective, so we can as well leverage it. As simple as that. I'm a fan of, and I'm sure most of us are, we don't need to start from scratch. If it's working, let's adopt it and use it. I don't claim to be the smartest cookie in the house. So if guys are smart, Harvard trained, Yale trained, behavioral scientists, they've done the research, we pull it out. Let's showcase those skills and use it. Be intentional about changing your lingua in some of those areas, and you will see the difference. I've learned a few things personally. Let me throw one that I learned recently. Communication-wise, right? Even when when you understand you have the floor to speak, always ask people for permission. Example, ask people, do you mind if I give you feedback? Or do you mind if I ask you a question? Can we type it together? Do you mind if I give you feedback? Do you mind if I ask you a question? Can we do that real quick? And it could be for your family stuff. trust me, it will make a world of difference. For spouses that you guys get crazy at each other, ask the person, do you mind if I ask you a question? But make sure they consent first, right? Don't say, do you mind I give you a feedback, then you start your stuff. Can we do it real quick, everybody? Do you mind if I ask you a question? Let's do it real quick, everybody. Do you mind let's start with, do you mind if I ask you a question? Do you mind if I ask you a question? Then another one, do you mind if I give you feedback? Do you mind if I give you a feedback? Now, team setting, very important we do that, because so my team finishes the presentation. All right, so hypothetically, you are the manager of your team or whatever you are, leader of your team. You can call your team member and say, hey, dude, blah, 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 that's your feedback. But it's only smart and wise to say, hey, dude, do you mind if I give you feedback? Guess what the person is going to say? Who wants to guess? Can you type your guess? If you ask somebody, do you mind if I give you feedback? Guess what they will say? 95% of the time. Sure, exactly. Sure, all of us will say, of course. But guess what you've done? You've just empowered. Mentally, the person feels empowered because they gave you the permission to give them a feedback. Very important. Folks, you'll call me and thank me later. Yeah, very important. And for me, I've learned a lot about that too. Even though in my mind, I feel like sometimes even cursing the person out, maybe whatever. But you just know what works. So there's no point to waste your energy. Be patient. Just ask, do you mind if I give you feedback? Do you mind if I ask you a question? And 95% of the time, most people will say, sure. Like you guys said. Now, somebody said, no, I don't. Now, it's okay. If somebody tells me, no, I don't sweat it. But if it is your leader that says, do you mind? And you say, no, I don't, that changes the dynamics. It means the person is not going to give you an informal feedback again. It will be what? Formal. So if it is your friend, maybe you can get away with it. But if it's a boss or a leader, whatever, then if they ask you, it means they will now give you a formal feedback. The formal feedback will mean they will document it in your appraisal or performance review, right? So, oh, okay, no, I don't know. Okay, got it. Sorry. No, I don't mind if you give me feedback. Okay, perfect. Meaning it's cool. Okay, got it. Sorry, guys. Oh, but you guys are, my brain is exploding. You guys are too cool. All right, got it. Okay, so you guys mean, okay, I do not mind. Perfect, that makes sense. Okay, yep. So, so most of us would definitely say, I do not mind you giving me feedback. Sure, cool, give me a feedback. And the power in it is because most times it's so, and I have a lot of my team, my mentees, they call me, some of them are in leadership position, they call me and say, hey, I'm having this mess, how do I tackle this? I have this person I'm working with, they are a jerk, or they are going through this, they are, taking credit for my whatever. And, so many complexity of human relationship. Folks, rule of thumb for me, just calm down. Number one, there's nothing personal. Don't take anything personal. If you're an asshole, you're a jerk at work, I'm here to work. Go back home to your family. The rest is rubbish. If you're not even relevant, I'm not even going to dignify your mess. Sometimes you trigger the code of formality. If I'll give an example, you send a team request to someone, hey, dude, you're asking questions about certain things. Because of the personality issue, the person refuses to reply to your message on Team or whatever you use, Skype, Slack, whatever you use in your business. Don't take it personal. If you're not ready to be informal to address and help me, no problem. Schedule an official meeting using Outlook, right? At this point, it's formal. You expect them to either accept it or they propose a new time. Simple, no headache. Now, if they don't accept, propose a new time or anything, do it like once or twice, formalize and document it. Then you can bring it up to your leadership and say, okay, look, folks, we may have our differences, but on this one, don't focus on the person. On this, the implication of you not responding early, it's going to impact our customer. It's going to impact our deliverable. Stick to issue. Don't care about the person. Ignore. To me, it's a waste of my energy. You're not relevant, to be honest. I'll focus on the issue, how it impacts our clients, how it impacts deliverable, things that drives value to our business, period. The rest is rubbish. If you're a jerk, you're a jerk. I'm not going to change you. I'm not a rehab center for adults. So focus on the issue, and that's it. Keep it formal. But there are many tricks around this, but I'm just giving one example, right? Okay, let's go. Communication. I hope that was helpful. What's to show improvement? This is another lovely one. I love one of these words. Again, guys, ladies, just pick one word or two that makes sense to you. Some cool words for improvement. I like the word enhance personally. Advanced the mission statement, maximize my team performance, increase in revenue, boosted sales, boosted customer experience. Whatever you want to use, these are things that are based on the research that helps to showcase the value you actually bring. And there are words that people like to hear, at the leadership level, at the minimum. Okay. All right. So we're almost done with this. Then we go to the fun part of it. Breakout session, guys. Don't get out of the session. Just have fun. I would like people to just talk about their personal experience. I'll jump into those sessions too, so that we can all learn from each other, synergize, get other perspective. A lot of us are leaders here already, but it's always fun to see people's view, what they've seen work for them, and just have fun doing it. All right. So what's to show research capability? Now, folks, ladies and gentlemen, listen. One of the value any one of us bring to an organization, in my opinion, is the ability to research. For most of my programs we offer, I'm always out on my team that, hey, guys, ladies, research, do the due diligence, Google, use your network, find clever way of using Google to maximize using Google. Probably I'll take that topic sometime soon. Ways to maximize the use of Google, searching words in Google to be very effective. Then Bing. Bing is also very good, especially if you're targeting like research papers. Bings tend to be very good for academic research paper kind of things. They are pretty good in it. So we'll try and figure out something that can make it more easy for us when we research. So from a research point of view, some very good words people use: identified, mapped out the process, tested our user experience, access to valuable information. So words like this showcase your ability to research. Again, like I said, these are research that have been done by some of the brightest minds in the world. We just want to call it out and say, hey, folks, let's leverage these words. Even in our day-to-day communication, these are very good, effective words we can use. So replace some of your normal day-to-day words. Be intentional about it. Like I said, I've shared this manual. If you've not received this manual, please let me know. And one thing I would like to do also, once we get to the information session, breakout session, is I'll send the YouTube link also. Feel free, please join, so that you can see the recording and some other Tuesday recordings there. Leverage it as much as you can. And that takes us to another word that I like: creativity. Most of us definitely will use this at some point. I think these are some of the most powerful of every piece of the puzzle so far. If you use word like you built, that is very personal, So I think if you are leveraging a word like built, that is amazing. Designed, that is heavy. If you tell me I designed a process to maximize my team performance, that is so personal. Developed is also very personal. Inspired, I'm surprised is here, because somebody else would have said, well, why are we using inspired? Well, inspired would probably go to showcase. I'll use one of my buddies, Choma, for example. She's the Scrum Master, right? Best Scrum Master out there. So she could easily say, well, I inspired my Scrum team with different activities to stimulate the culture of our Scrum environment. Using different games. And if you're in the Scrum process, there are games Scrum Masters play with their team to make it more fun and interactive generally. People can use words like designed, developed, constructed, built. So use words like this. They are powerful, very powerful in resumes and even in conversation out there. All right, and that takes us to a quick breakout section. The session will just focus typically on, I'll stop this and I'll copy the question out there. Just discuss as a team. What we're going to discuss is simple. We just discuss some words for improvement, just general things that have worked for you. Use some communication words that you've seen that have been effective. Just showcase your experience. And let me stop sharing, and we'll do it for like 10-15 minutes. We just share different experiences. As part of our program, it's so important because we just want to make sure we can leverage other people's experience. Share with us what you've seen effective, especially with communication within whatever experience you've had, your current company, your current role. Just let's have some insights from other folks. All right, let's do that for the next 10 minutes and have fun doing it. We'll talk soon. All right, thank you, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Um, a few takeaway. I was on the. I joined a lot of the groups already. Um, let me start with the last group. And one of our mentors, Yemi Salahu, was speaking. I took two big things away from his conversation, and I'll probably let him speak to briefly. We have 6 more minutes to wrap it up. So, first thing I love about what he talked about in his group was, number one, when an email is sent out, I like the fact he said, guys, let's put acknowledge receipts. Very important, because many times when you put acknowledge receipt, it kind of makes reduce crisis potentially. People would know that, okay, people are expectant when they send an email. For you to just take the stress out, just say, hey, acknowledge receipt, I'll reply back later. That's reduce tension all the time. Just that word, acknowledge receipt, I'll get back to you. Done. It gives you breathing space, you buy time. The other thing that I like in this group, Yemi made a comment, is it's a global world now, people. So the world has changed. So now when you communicate, sometimes people think about it that some people, English is not their first language, right? We have them in India, Philippines, Vietnam, Venezuela at times, and so many different locations. So Israel, when you send a mail, people might, or when mail is sent to you, it might sound combative. Add some emotional intelligence. Don't get personal. Focus on the issue and just put yourself in the person's shoe. Don't read it literally the way it sounds. Argentina is another one. I used to work with some team in Argentina and Israel. In Israel, for example, if you don't speak out and sound assertive, it's a sign of weakness. Don't forget everybody in Israel is in the military, right? So as part of our orientation, I used to work in Tel Aviv, right? As part of our orientation before we go out there to work, they would tell you people are assertive. It will feel like they are shouting or angry, but it's the style. So you have to adjust. I found myself also speaking out, shouting, because that is the way they recognize you're part of them, right? So, naturally it's not my style, but now you have to be shouting in meeting and just making them know, okay, you're existing, or else they'll just not take your word serious. So cultural sensitivity, emotional intelligence, very important. I like Shoma also mentioned something one-on-one. I love that comment. When you get to a new team, especially if you're in leadership role or even as a team member, it's nice to have one-on-one with your peers and say, understand them, their leadership. Over time, you build trust, right? But at least they know you come in peace, right? You want to learn from them. You're not there to kind of play the boss, but to understand their needs. And over time, when you help your team, it shows and you build that trust equity over time. Somebody used the word created. I like that. Created is a big word. Created information security platform. Somebody also, Patrick, I believe, the first one was Patrick also talked about over communication was a solid one that he felt was added value that one can use. Titi talked about created. There was another one that said establish and deliver. Those are some buzzwords that was learned also. And I'm just taking everybody's comments in the groups I joined briefly. Somebody said, okay, I think Yemi talked about some tools he used in terms of communicating with your team members. All of us mostly are using Team, Microsoft Team. Some people use Skype, some people use Slack, Equip, Jira, whatever tool you use to tag and communicate. Always remember, use those solid magic words. Even though it's context of team environment, think through those words so that they're effective words for your team. And I'll just wrap up with, Yemi, I know you had a comment. Feel free to raise your hand and I'll just unmute you. And we'll wrap up for tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Let's see. Let's take one question from Yemi then. Okay. Yemi, over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to say this there really quick, and it's a feedback I got from. Let me just lower my hands. It's a feedback I got from a recruiter years ago. I know we have different cultures, and the way I was raised up is everybody wants to say, as a team, we did this, as a team, we did this. When you're having an interview, is to showcase your talent of who you are. So another word to avoid during an interview or in your resume is using the word we. You got to say I. No matter how selfish as it is, this is the feedback I got from a recruiter years ago. So you want to say I, even though it might sound all selfish as anything, but you have to use that word, I, because you are the person they are looking to hire, not your team. So you got to be very conscious of that. And, and sometimes the way my vocabulary is and the way I speak, I want to bring everybody in as a part of my team, even though some people have done less or more. We're all a team, but when you're having an interview, you have to say the word I, not we, because they look at that. Because when it's to say I, they say like this person responsible, take ownership. So that's something I just wanted to just highlight. So avoid the word in interviews we. They're looking to hire you, not the team. I think you're on mute, sir.
I mean, excellent job, sir. Thank you so much, Jamie. Excellent. I love that. Can we all give everybody a round of applause? Everybody on this call, let's do reaction. Let's just give ourselves excellent job, guys. We celebrate each other a lot here. Just go ahead and put the sign, the icon, just to give everybody that contributed, everybody that's part of it. You all are awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. It's always fun. We'll keep doing this. Our goal is we want to empower our community. Always spread the word. If you're having one or two value added to you or your personal life, professional life, invite others when we have these forums and let's have fun together. Together we can achieve great things. God bless. We'll talk soon, guys. Thank you.